What is happening, everyone, and welcome back to PS5 Nexus. The news cycle is absolutely blazing, and we've got some massive updates that you absolutely cannot afford to miss. We're diving headfirst into the latest developments that are set to shake up your gaming world. Get ready for some game-changing revelations that will have you on the edge of your seat. Let's get straight into it. First up, we're dissecting a brand new title that's already generating serious buzz. This one is from a studio known for its dark and atmospheric experiences, and early word is they've struck gold again. We're talking about a deep dive into a world where the past and present collide, forcing you to make impossible choices. Is this the next must-play survival horror epic? Next, we've got some critical information for anyone eyeing a PlayStation 5 upgrade. Whispers from the supply chain suggest a significant change is coming to future models, and it might not be what you expect. We're breaking down what this could mean for storage, performance, and most importantly, your wallet. You'll want to hear this before your next console purchase. Then, we shift gears to a surprise move by a major player in the gaming hardware scene. Reports indicate a subtle but significant alteration to a popular console revision, and the implications for consumers, particularly in one major region, are pretty stark. We're exploring the details and what this means for your gaming library. And finally, a special treat for gamers looking forward to a highly anticipated action title. In a move that's turning heads, a major upcoming release is offering an incredible incentive for early adopters. We're talking about a free upgrade that could save you a significant amount of cash. Stick around to find out all the details. Don't go anywhere because you're watching PS5 Nexus, and we've got all the essential updates you need. Hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and let's get into it. A new horror masterpiece emerges. Bloober Team, a name synonymous with the horror genre, has a reputation that's been a roller coaster of critical reception. While titles like Layers of Fear, Blair Witch, and The Medium have carved out their niche, it was their recent triumph with the Silent Hill 2 remake that truly reminded everyone of their potential. However, the question lingered. Could they replicate that success without the anchor of such an iconic narrative? Based on early impressions of Cronos, The New Dawn, the answer appears to be a resounding yes. The true magic of Cronos, The New Dawn lies in its meticulously crafted world-building, a feat achieved across both its historical and contemporary settings. Players step into the role of a traveler, an agent of a collective consciousness known as the Collective. Your mission? To journey back into the past, not to alter events, but to collect the very essence of individuals who were pivotal in understanding the catastrophic event known as the Change. The mantra echoes, "What is done cannot be undone, but perhaps we can learn for the future." This philosophical undercurrent sets a somber yet intriguing tone for the entire experience. As a traveler, the fate of this fractured world rests in your hands. Each encounter with the spectral remnants of the pandemic's past presents a choice, a decision about whose essence to extract. While these choices might not drastically rewrite the main storyline, they do unlock divergent scenes that provide richer context and deeper understanding of the unfolding narrative. The more significant impact of your decisions, however, is felt in the game's multiple endings, offering a compelling reason for multiple playthroughs and encouraging players to explore the consequences of their actions. Cronos consistently prompts introspection, asking players not only to judge the lives of others, but also to question the very nature of the truths they uncover. Central to Cronos' identity is the Change, the apocalyptic event that serves as the narrative's core and the catalyst for its combat mechanics. This devastating disease swept through society with relentless efficiency, overwhelming any attempts at containment. Quarantine zones rapidly succumbed to the infected, and the fabric of civilization, from medical professionals to governmental bodies and the military, was torn apart. The terrifying potency of this disease is amplified by its biological nature. It lives, it grows, and it actively merges with its surroundings, creating a formidable and evolving threat. The game bravely ventures into the well-trodden territory of zombie apocalypse meets steampunk sci-fi, but it wisely avoids attempting to reinvent the wheel. Instead, the development team has focused on refining core survival horror mechanics and blending them into a cohesive and engaging experience. Players will find themselves navigating tight inventory and resource management, enduring nerve-wracking stretches between safe havens, and constantly making high-stakes, risk-reward decisions. This classic survival horror loop encourages exploration by promising valuable rewards, but it also carries the inherent risk of depleting precious resources. A minor, yet persistent, annoyance arises from the random number generation (RNG) system, where the promise of a breakable container can sometimes lead to disappointment with an empty reward. Achieving the right balance and pacing is paramount in survival horror, with moments of quiet exploration and puzzle solving needing to be punctuated by periods of intense action and quick thinking. Cronos masterfully builds tension, particularly when standard ammunition proves ineffective against its monstrous inhabitants, and melee attacks offer minimal impact. The true key to survival lies in charged shots, which, while requiring time and precision aiming, are the only reliable way to inflict significant damage. Coupled with the game's limited resources, strategic charging and accurate targeting are essential for progression. Cronos employs a unique and rewarding system to encourage thorough exploration. Hidden cats. These feline survivors of the change are strategically placed throughout both past and present environments, often requiring specialized items or navigating treacherous paths to reach. The effort is consistently rewarded, not only with some of the game's best items and access to new explorable areas, but also with the delightful prospect of these cats joining the player's apartment, offering opportunities for further interaction. While the off-the-beaten-path areas are a joy to discover, some of the game's environments could have benefited from more rigorous editing. A significant portion of Cronos, The New Dawn, involves backtracking to locate key items for progression and puzzle solving. While this is a staple of the genre, it can occasionally lead to less compelling gameplay. At one point, the player character even acknowledges the repetitive nature of an objective, a meta-commentary that, while amusing, doesn't quite fix the underlying tedium. The enemy design is largely impressive, with the exception of the particularly frustrating wall-crawling snipers. The game introduces a compelling twist on standard survival horror enemies by allowing them to merge with fallen foes, becoming more powerful. While this is an interesting mechanic, the true fear in horror often stems not from direct confrontation, but from the anticipation of encountering a threat. A reduction in enemy density and more judicious use of arena-style encounters could have allowed for a more organic buildup of tension and dread. However, for players who prefer a more action-packed horror experience, akin to Resident Evil 4, Cronos offers plenty to appreciate. My final hours with Cronos, The New Dawn, were unfortunately marred by technical issues. A critical bug locked me into a cinematic slow-walk sequence before the final boss, rendering me unable to interact with the environment for roughly 20 minutes, necessitating a reset. Shortly after, another bug prevented progression until I reset the game again. The most frustrating moment came after a grueling battle with the final boss, only for them to vanish from existence, forcing a complete reload and a repeat of the entire encounter. These significant technical hitches, compounded by minor persistent bugs like frame drops, input lag, and visual glitches, created a bitter taste right before the finish line. Despite these setbacks, my overall experience with Cronos, The New Dawn, was positive. The bugs, while frustrating, did provide ample time to contemplate the game's ending. Ultimately, the game's strength lies in its richly realized alternate world and lore, rather than any single plot point. The anxiety induced by mismanaged resources and the need to evade enemies without the means to fight back proved to be a captivating experience. Cronos, The New Dawn, stands as a commendable entry in the survival horror genre, skillfully borrowing from genre titans while forging its own unique identity through its compelling world and lore. With a more focused approach, allowing the narrative and exploration to truly shine without being overshadowed by repetition, it could have reached even greater heights. Nevertheless, the game remains an excellent testament to the power of a strong setting and an intriguing mystery to keep players captivated. Cronos, The New Dawn, is slated for release on September 5, 2025, and will be available on PC, Steam, Epic Games Store, Xbox Series XS, PS5, and Nintendo Switch 2 with a retail price of $59.99. This review was conducted on the PS5 version of the game, using a code provided by the publisher. Cronos, The New Dawn is a compelling echo of survival horror's storied past. It masterfully blends elements from genre titans with its own fresh ideas. While it would have greatly benefited from tighter editing in certain areas, it ultimately succeeds as a masterclass in world building and offers a near-perfect balance of tension and release. Finding a cat and realizing that they are the key to some of the best items and secrets in the game. For the latest gaming news, follow Game Watcher on Blue Sky, check out our videos on YouTube, or give us a like on Facebook. We sometimes include affiliate links in our posts, which grants us a small commission. Thank you. Please support independent games media. Red. Freelance writer, full-time PlayStation Vita enthusiast, and speaker of some languages. I break up my days by watching people I don't know play Pokémon pretty fast. PS5 Slim storage cut, but price stays put. In a move that echoes recent industry trends, PlayStation has reportedly adjusted its pricing strategy, and now, evidence suggests future iterations of the PlayStation 5 might see a reduction in storage capacity. This potential shift, aimed at mitigating further price hikes, could see the upcoming PS5 Slim models equipped with smaller SSDs, while their price point remains unchanged. This development comes as PlayStation, like its competitors Xbox and Nintendo, recently increased the manufacturer's suggested retail price, MSRP, for its current generation consoles. The latest intelligence, originating from D-Labs, a source with a consistently strong track record for accurate pre-release information, particularly concerning PlayStation hardware, indicates a significant internal alteration for a future PS5 model. This new iteration, reportedly slated for release in Europe on September 13, 2025, is expected to feature an 825 GB SSD. This represents a notable decrease from the 1 TB SSD that has become the standard for current PS5 Slim models. The standard edition of the Slim PS5 appears to be unaffected by this change and will continue to include a 1 TB SSD. Designated by the model number CFI 2100, these internal modifications have reportedly been in development since at least June. Documentation filed in Japan has corroborated these plans, confirming that the adjustments were implemented as a strategic measure, too. This report from The Gamer, penned by Josh Carlson, highlights a potential cost-saving measure by Sony. While the specific reasons for this downgrade remain officially unconfirmed, the implication is that to maintain current pricing in the face of rising component costs or other market pressures, Sony may be opting to reduce the SSD size in certain PS5 Slim configurations. The move is particularly contentious given the ever-increasing size of modern video game installations, where titles like Call of Duty, Final Fantasy, and Cyberpunk 2077 can easily consume over 100 GB of storage each. For European players, this means potentially receiving less storage capacity for the same €499 price tag, a decision that has already drawn criticism for not offering the better end of the deal. The community's reaction has been swift, with many players expressing disappointment and concern over the reduced storage. The sentiment is that with games continuing to grow in size, a smaller SSD on a new console model is a step backward. Analysts are weighing in, suggesting this could be a calculated risk by Sony to appeal to a broader market segment by keeping the entry price stable, even if it means a compromise on storage for a portion of their customer base. Discussions on gaming forums and social media platforms are rife with comparisons to previous console generations and debates about the true cost-saving benefit versus the consumer impact. The lack of an official comment from Sony only fuels further speculation, leaving players to wonder about the long-term implications for game installations and the overall value proposition of the PS5 Slim. But before we dive deeper into the storage situation, hold onto your controllers, because we have another major announcement regarding a highly anticipated game that's offering an unprecedented pre-order bonus. Sony's European PS5 Slim gets a storage downgrade. In a move that has surprised many and drawn considerable attention, Sony has quietly implemented a change to its PlayStation 5 Slim console revision in Europe. Without any prior official announcement, the upcoming model, identified as CFI 210, will no longer feature the 1 TB SSD that has become standard on current PS5 units. Instead, the storage capacity is reverting to the 825 GB size that was present on the original PS5 model released back in 2020. This change, however, comes with a significant caveat. The price point remains unchanged at €499, meaning European consumers will be getting less storage for the same cost. This decision has been met with considerable frustration within the gaming community, especially considering the ever-increasing file sizes of modern blockbuster titles. Games such as Call of Duty, Final Fantasy, and Cyberpunk 2077 can individually consume well over 100 GB of storage, making the 825 GB SSD a more restrictive proposition for players looking to build a substantial digital library. The lack of an official statement from Sony regarding the rationale behind this downgrade leaves room for speculation. Potential reasons could range from cost-saving measures to the utilization of remaining inventory from the launch model's SSDs. Regardless of the underlying cause, the consensus among many European gamers is that this represents an unfavorable deal. The phrase "for the players," often used by Sony to highlight player-centric initiatives, is being critically examined in light of this development. The move is seen by many as contradictory to that sentiment, as it appears to prioritize cost management over player convenience and value. Public reaction on social media and gaming forums has been predominantly negative, with users expressing disappointment and questioning the decision. Many are pointing out that other regions may not be subject to this downgrade, further intensifying the feeling of being shortchanged. Industry analysts suggest that while component costs have been rising, cutting storage on a new revision without a price reduction is a risky strategy that could alienate a significant portion of the player base. The community is actively discussing whether this will impact sales figures in Europe or if the allure of the PS5 itself will outweigh the storage concerns. The debate continues regarding the long-term implications for game installations and the overall value proposition of the PS5 Slim in the European market. But the hardware news doesn't stop there. Get ready for a major development in game releases, because one highly anticipated title is rolling out an unprecedented pre-order bonus that could save you big. Pre-order perk: get a free Deluxe Edition upgrade for 7 First Light. In a rare and exciting move for the PlayStation 5 gaming landscape, IO Interactive has announced an incredible incentive for players looking to secure their copy of the upcoming title, 7 First Light. During the recent PlayStation State of Play event, it was revealed that anyone who pre-orders the game, regardless of the edition chosen, will receive a free upgrade to the Deluxe Edition. This generous offer applies to pre-orders made through the PlayStation Store, as well as other digital storefronts for Xbox Series XS and PC via Steam or the Epic Games Store. Typically, accessing a Deluxe Edition of a new PS5 release requires an additional $10 investment over the standard edition. However, IO Interactive is breaking this trend with 7 First Light. The standard edition is priced at $69.99, but by simply pre-ordering it, players are automatically bumped up to the Deluxe Edition, which would normally cost $79.99. This means early adopters can effectively save $10 and gain access to the enhanced content. While the specific content included in the 7 First Light Deluxe Edition isn't described as game-changing, it does offer the added benefit of allowing pre-ordering players to jump into the action slightly earlier than those who wait for the official launch day. This strategy is being closely watched to see if it proves effective in boosting initial sales for the highly anticipated game. 7 First Light is scheduled to launch on March 27, 2026, and will be available across multiple platforms, including PS5, Xbox Series XS, Nintendo Switch 2, and PC. For those eager to see the gameplay showcased during the PlayStation State of Play, the presentation offered a glimpse into what appears to be an evolution of IO Interactive's acclaimed Hitman series. Hakan Abrak, CEO of IO Interactive, expressed his vision for the game, stating, "With 7 First Light, we're building a wholly original James Bond experience from the ground up, one that blends the sharp tension of espionage with the bold spectacle the franchise is known for. The gameplay is rooted in our signature approach to immersive design, combining stealth, action, and creativity in a way that feels uniquely tailored to Bond." This statement suggests a deep dive into the espionage thriller genre, aiming to capture the essence of James Bond with a fresh perspective. The gaming community has reacted with enthusiasm to this pre-order bonus. Many players see it as a refreshing change from the usual monetization strategies, appreciating the straightforward value proposition. Discussions on social media platforms highlight the generosity of the offer, with many users confirming their intent to pre-order based on this incentive. Gaming critics and analysts are noting this as a potentially smart marketing move by IO Interactive, aiming to build early momentum and positive word of mouth. It also sets a new precedent for how developers might incentivize early purchases in the current market. The success of this strategy could influence future release tactics for other major titles, potentially leading to more consumer-friendly pre-order offers. The focus on an early access window, however small, also appeals to players eager to experience the game as soon as possible. And that's our final deep dive for today. But before you go, let's quickly recap the biggest stories we covered and make sure you're subscribed for all the latest. All right, everyone, that's a wrap on today's PS5 Nexus. We saw a promising new horror title in Cronos, the New Dawn, a potential storage reduction for future PS5 Slim models in Europe, and an amazing free Deluxe Edition upgrade for the upcoming 7 First Light. If you haven't already, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to PS5 Nexus for all your gaming news, hit that notification bell so you never miss an update, and let us know in the comments which story you're most excited about. You can also follow us on all our social media channels for even more content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.